What's up, world? Today we are going to pot up these tomatillo plants that we have here. So I don't know if you remember, we started these out probably about 4 weeks ago, and I started these outside because we have great weather like that where you can start a lot of your seeds outside. So now, as you can see, they have outgrown their squares, they have outgrown their cubes, outgrown this tray. It is now time to pot them up. So in order to do that, you're going to need some high quality potting mix and some compost. So in this bucket here, I have mixed high quality potting mix with compost, 50-50 blend. I've added a little bit of organic fertilizer, and now I'm going to add my secret ingredient anytime I pot up plants or do any sort of transplants of any sort. And the secret ingredient is, boom, this right here, Plant Success Mycorrhizae fungi. Now, I just mix this in with my planting medium right here, mix it in with the potting soil and the compost, and it works magic. It helps build strong root systems, it helps the plants be able to uptake nutrients, and it just helps them grow a lot faster and a lot stronger. So, into my mix, I just sprinkle some of this, and I mix it together. Or if you don't want to add it to your mix directly, what you can do is, when you fill up your container to pot up, at the bottom where you're going to put the transplant, you can sprinkle some in. I'll show you how to do that. But for now, what we're going to do is just simple process, okay? We fill up these containers about halfway full, then we put our transplant in, and then we backfill the rest. If you'll notice with tomatillos, if you'll notice with these, they've gotten relatively tall, but they're healthy. One thing I like to do with tomatoes and tomatillos whenever I'm potting them up is I like to bury them deeply. If you take a look at the stem, right here, you can actually see roots coming off, or you can see where it wants to root or will root. So you're actually able to bury this stem pretty deeply, and everywhere this stem is buried, it'll shoot out and form roots, so you're able to help build a stronger root structure. So what you're going to want to do, pop one of these bad boys out and measure them next to your container, so you can make sure you put the soil to the proper level prior to putting the plant in. All right, we don't want to put too much soil in, because then we're not actually going to be able to bury the stem deeply, or as deeply as I want. Now for this, so you can see I'm just using leftover containers. If you didn't have one of these, you could easily use a plastic cup or any other container you had. Now, I don't recommend potting up directly from here to your 5-gallon pot or to your final destination, wherever these are going to grow. I like to go from the tray to one more pot, usually a 4-inch pot or even one of these. Go from my seed tray to one of these pots and then into the dirt. I just want to make sure that my plant has a fully developed root system prior to putting it into the ground or into its final place. That way, whenever it gets in the ground, it can just explode with growth and take off. So now it's time to get these out. If you take a look, people ask, how do you know when they're ready to transplant? I mean, the roots will tell you everything, okay? When you see roots starting to grow out of the bottom, or when you see roots right here wrapping around the bottom of your container, then it's time for you to pot it up and move it to the next size up. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pop one out just like that. Now you can take a look and see solid root structure going on here. Roots going all the way around, and then roots coming out the bottom. That's because I bottom feed the tray, so the roots are going to come out and try to work their way into the actual water. So now, like I said, I like to plant tomatoes and tomatillos deep. So we're going to measure it, okay? And I want to plant, basically, if this is the first leaf that you see right here, I want to go at least halfway up to there. All right, so that means I want to get about here. So I'm measuring, and I see if I put No soil at the bottom. I just drop this transplant in here. Then it gets a little bit deeper than what I want. So all I'm gonna do is put about 1 inch or so of soil in the bottom, drop the transplant in, and then come back and backfill with more soil. So I got the soil in, I test it, make sure the height is where I want it, perfect. Now, if you haven't already added your mycorrhizal, if you haven't already added the fungi to your planting mix, now is another time when you can add it, okay? I'm just gonna take this right here. If I had a measuring spoon, I'd put maybe half a teaspoon in the bottom, but you don't actually have to measure it, okay? I'm just gonna add some to the bottom. Now, drop the tomatillo right in, and we're just gonna come and backfill with more soil. Press it down a little bit around the edges. You don't want to compact the soil, okay? You want the water and the air to be able to move through channels within your soil, all right? If I'm over here compacting it, now if I go to water it from the top, the water will just pool up on top of the container. So I'm just going to repeat this process here. Again, we're going to go ahead, pull one out. See, this is how you know you're ready to transplant. If I can just come and pull the transplant out and the root ball, the root mass stays together, that shows you it has a good root structure. Okay, you can even check the color of the roots once you pull it out. You want your roots to be white. If you notice any major discoloration in the roots, you probably have a problem, okay? Now, same process. First, we measure. Again, if I were to put this plant all the way at the bottom and then just backfill soil now, it would be deep, but a little bit deeper than what I want. Again, about 1 inch or so of soil at the bottom. Backfill with the secret weapon. Drop the plant in on top. Put the soil on. Just kind of shake the container around as you're filling it so you can try to fill in all of the gaps and the holes. I give it a little pat, and that's another one done. You see I have different size pots here, okay? When I'm planting up or when I'm transplanting up from this seed tray, you can go to the bigger pots, go to 4-inch pots, you use whatever you have on hand, okay? Because remember, this is just a stepping stone before we go to our final destination, whether that's a 5-gallon container, 11-gallon container, or you're planting it in a raised bed or in a garden. Same thing. Pop it out, check the roots, measure the depth, and now with this pot it's not as deep as the circular one that I was using. So what I'm going to do is try to turn it on the side a little bit so I can still make sure that I plant the stem deeper. Same, about 1 inch of soil at the bottom. Secret sauce. Drop the tomatillo in. I bend the stem slightly, and now I'm pressing it up against the inside of the container. Okay, so that'll just hold the stem in place, and now I backfill with the soil. There we go. Since I've done these, I know I need about 1 inch of soil at the bottom. We don't need to measure them anymore. We're just gonna get through this. I'll show you the difference between these are about the same height now, right? Now. So if you're afraid to drop it down on the side or bend the stem, then it doesn't matter, it's fine. You can just drop the transplant directly in and then just pot it up. Drop it in and then just backfill with your soil. When you're removing your transplants from the container, it's not a hard, quick pull. You're just trying to coerce it out ever so gently. Kind of move it side to side and it'll free up a little bit, and then you're able to just pull it out. When we're planting it on the side and you're trying to manipulate the stem or basically get the stem to hold, again, it's gentle. We're gently pushing it down. If we push too hard, we'll snap the stem and break it. We just gently push it down and then we bend the plant to where now it's being supported by the corner, and now we're just going to backfill. So that's it. I got them potted up. I'll get them watered, and then they'll go back there on the rack with the rest of the plant starts that I have going. Hopefully you found this informative. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, tell a friend or two. Thank you very much. If you need me, I'm at Big City Gardener at all social media platforms, or check out the blog at bigcitygardener.com. Hope y'all found this informative. Have a great day. I'm out.